Hello everyone, my name is Tegan Larimore. Today I'm going to be going around and interviewing people on how much they think they know about the American Revolution, as I'm doing my documentary on how faith and politics intertwined with the American Revolution and what they had to do with the Americans leaving the British, and then how it kind of plays into politics in America. Alright, found my first candidate. What's your name?
Ayani Hernandez.
And how old are you?
I'm 19 years old.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think you know about the American Revolution?
Maybe 2 out of 10.
Great start. All right, last question. So what do you think is the main reason that the Americans decided to leave the British? Like, what was the last straw for them?
They wanted to be independent from the British, yeah.
That's a good answer. Good answer. On my next candidate. So what's your name?
Charlotte Jenks,
And how old are you?
19.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think you know about the American Revolution?
2.
All right, last question. So what do you think is the main reason that the Americans decided to leave the British and become their own country?
Independence.
Good answer. I have here today.
Caroline Barwick.
And how old are you?
I'm 21.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think you know about the American Revolution?
I would say 6.5.
Okay, pretty good. So last question. What do you think is the main reason that America separated from the British?
They were taxing everything, quartering their soldiers, and then the Boston Tea Party happened.
Great. Good
What's
answer.
your name?
Michael Larimore.
And how old are you?
I am 56, about to turn 57.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think you know about the American Revolution?
Probably about an 8 or 9.
Okay, good. All right, so what do you think is the main reason that America left the British?
The colonists were having their goods taxed with huge tariffs. Anything that was shipped to Britain, which was basically any raw materials and goods that they made, and we had no representation in Parliament. Taxation without representation.
Good answer. All the reasons my interviewees have stated here are correct. The core reason America wanted to separate was for independence and freedom. However, this breaks down into deeper subcategories, and most relate back to religion. One of the biggest problems America had with the British was the lack of religious freedom. The Church of England was closely tied to the British monarchy, the head government in charge, showing a complete lack of separation of church and state. Many moved to the colonies to escape this religious persecution and practice their own religion without a government-backed church, but were unable to. This religious tension spurred the creation of new laws such as taxation without representation on embargoed goods and the Quartering Act, where soldiers lived in citizens' homes. This led the colonists to feel that total independence from the British was the only way to political and religious freedom. Obviously, we know how that ended and how our government implemented the First Amendment, allowing religious freedom. But is religion still causing difficulties in politics today? Does faith play the same role in politics today as it did back then? In this segment, Kat will dive further into these next questions.
I found my first person to interview. What's your name?
Michelle Durden.
Okay, and the question is, how does religion play a role in modern day politics?
Many politicians bring politics into their campaigns. 2 very hot topics right now are abortions and gay marriages. Depending on your religious views, it can persuade which candidate you support.
I found my next person to interview. What's your name?
Byron Durden.
Okay, the question is, how does religion play a role in modern day politics?
Religion plays a role in modern day politics by informing voters about their candidates that they're voting for, what type of moral beliefs that they have. It also impacts laws that are passed within our country.
I found my third and final person to interview. What's your name?
Lyric Pittman.
Okay, and the question is, how does religion play a role in modern day politics?
Religion continues to influence modern day politics by shaping moral values, guiding voter behavior, and impacting legislation, often blurring the line between church and state.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Religion plays a complex and ongoing role in modern day politics, both in obvious and subtle ways. Even in secular democracies where there's a legal separation between church and state, religion often influences political beliefs, voter behavior, policy decisions, and the way politicians present themselves to the public. One of the most direct impacts is on how people vote. Many individuals base their political decisions on values that are shaped by their religious upbringing or current beliefs. For example, views on abortion, same-sex marriage, gender roles, and even the death penalty are often strongly connected to religious teachings. Because of this, religious groups can become powerful voting blocs. Politicians recognize this and often tailor their messages to appeal to these groups, knowing that they can swing elections. You will also see religion play out in political language and symbolism. In the U.S., it's very common for politicians to end speeches with phrases like "God bless America" or to publicly mention their personal faith. This isn't just tradition, it's a strategic way to connect with religious voters and signal shared values. Religious leaders sometimes endorse candidates or encourage their followers to vote in particular ways, which can significantly impact political outcomes. On a policy level, religious perspectives can shape national laws in some countries. Religious institutions have direct political power, like in Iran, where the government is a theocracy. But even in democratic nations, we often see religious views influencing debates over education, like teaching evolution versus creationalism, healthcare, especially around reproductive rights, and even environmental policy. For example, some faith-based groups oppose climate legislation not because they deny science, but because they interrupt human dominion over nature differently. Globally, religion can also influence foreign policy. Countries often form alliances or tensions based partly on shared or conflicting religious identities. Religious persecution, the protection of sacred sites, or the defense of religious freedom abroad can become part of a nation's diplomatic agenda. At the same time, the political use of religion can be controversial and even divisive. When laws reflect one group's religious beliefs, it can alienate those who follow different faiths or no faith at all. This raises important questions about pluralism, representation, and whether governments are truly serving all their citizens equally. In short, religion is far from disappearing in modern politics. It continues to shape the moral framework of many societies, influence the decisions of leaders, and serve as both a unifying force and a source of division. Understanding this relationship is key to understanding how modern governments and societies function.